Why is Nishiki Yasunori's music so good? There is a lot to talk about. Hi, my name is Prince, a freelance music composer working right here in Tokyo, Japan. For the past 2 years, I've been playing the wonderful game that is Octopath Traveler, Champions of the Continent, the prequel to the 2018 release of Octopath Traveler. This game was released in Japan in October 2020 and finally has made its way to Western digital shores this year. If you don't know much about Nishiki Yasunori, he graduated from Tokyo Music College simply looking for a way to pay his bills and found himself working at Konami Group Entertainment. He began working on projects such as the Beatmania series, or Beatomania as it's known in Japan, or B-Mani for short, under the alias Vivian. But his first project as the main composer was Monster Retsuden Oreka Battle, for which he composed over 100 songs. But he also made songs and arrangements for other games such as the Quiz Magic Academy series and Pro Evolution Soccer, or Winning 11 as it's known in Japan. Seeking to gain more business connections in the game music industry, he took his skills, left Konami, and became a freelance composer in 2015. It was during this time that his demo CD had found the ears of music composer and arranger Yamazaki Jo, who had written for many great titles, but when he heard Nishiki Yasunori's CD, he contacted him directly. From there, Nishiki Yasunori was assigned to many great titles such as Saga Frontier 2, Ragnarok Online, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Lord of Vermilion Arena. My first introduction to his work was the 2018 release of Octopath Traveler. I was hugely impressed with the game in terms of its beautiful visuals, but the soundtrack as well was particularly incredible because you have this beautiful HD pixel, high definition pixel artwork, which brings together the nostalgia of playing games back on the Super Nintendo or the Genesis or the Sega Mega Drive or whatever region you happen to play in. But at the same time, you hear this incredible amalgamation of modern orchestral writing, wonderful arrangements, wonderful orchestration, and beautiful melodies that work together so well you can't imagine the soundtrack being anything else. There is one thing in particular that really stands out to me about his music and really puts him in a league of his own, and that is his battle music. Now, he actually talks about this in a recent interview.
やっぱそのバトル音楽の方が目立つんですよね。なんか普通のなんていうんですかね、このフィールドの音楽とか街の音楽とかって言われても、いいけどみたいな、いいけど地味だよねみたいなあれなんですけど、バトル音楽やっぱすごくこのなんていうんですかね、心が動かされる多分要素が強くて。
Just listening to him, you can tell he has a very deep understanding of battle music. Every scene needs music that's very specific and that must adhere to the visions of the creator. When you're in a town, everything might be visually stunning. Everything looks wonderful. You've got all this time to go shopping, find items, and you've got some time to learn about the world, do some side quests, talk to some people and learn more about the environment you're in. You can do all of these things, but when you're in a battle, everything changes. The stakes are raised, you've got a monster or something in front of you whose presence alone demands an entirely different type of composition from any other monster battle that you've had thus far. All of this is reflected in his music so well, and it got me thinking, is there anything that we can take away from the composition and the production to help us better our own creativity? Now, I'm a big fan of music assimilation. So we're going to take the song Master of Power from the Titos storyline in Octopath Traveler, Champions of the Continent, and see if we can't musically level up ourselves. So we're going to go through 3 musical concepts that appear in the score. First being the parallel major, second being secondary dominance, and third chromatic harmony. This song consists of 3 keys starting in G minor, then modulates to A minor, and then to D minor. So we have a 4-bar transition in the beginning going from the initial scene into the battle sequence. Now, Master of Power is based around tonal harmony, in which the chords that are used in the progression are somehow related to the root. So we have G minor, E flat major first inversion, G minor to the D major. Now in G minor, we know that the 5th chord is a D minor. But here we have the parallel major, a fantastic way of creating a little bit more tension in a progression. By taking out the F in the D minor, we've added an F sharp, and we now have a minor second resolution back to the G minor. Now the next section contains movement that is very common in game and actually in popular music. And this is where one note of a chord is chromatically moved to create different harmonies. But because the chord that follows will always have at least 2 of the same notes as the original, this style of writing is generally seen as weak and commonly disliked. But due to the strength of the orchestration and great use of drums in the spaces in this track, Nishiki Yasunori really doubles down on that the way a technique is used is paramount to the technique itself. Every time I hear this type of movement, it always reminds me of the power that music has to influence a player's way of thinking. In any game, the player can play as they wish, but take the example of Sonic & Knuckles 3. Where in the flying battery zone, the music entices the player to speedrun the level for no particular reason. But the movement between that 5th and the major 6 has the same kind of intensity that we feel in Master of Power, and actually the same movement is being used here. So towards the end of the intro, we have these 4 bars of the 1 G minor, the 6th E flat major, the 1 again, G minor, and then G minor flat 5. At this point in the game, the player's probably already gotten used to the intimidating design of Titus's new form, and now considering how much HP they have, who is going to be able to take an attack from this guy, who doesn't have SP, and who is going to be able to deal some damage. Now, secondary dominance are a technique that I absolutely love. I like the way Nishiki Yasunori uses it in Master of Power as well. Let's have a listen to how it sounds. Now, I absolutely love what is going on in this section. We've got the low frequencies providing a really strong foundation. We've got the lower strings, we've got a guitar chugging away, and we've got, I think I hear a bass guitar in there as well, providing a very strong quarter note pulse with ghost notes. Very important to maintain this very powerful rhythm that we have in the low end. So I'm moving from G to D. G is moving down a semitone to the F sharp first inversion of D major. And then when we get to G7, we're playing the 3rd again in the bass, but we're moving up to C minor. Now, if you've seen George, you know the kind of impact that a semitone movement in the low end has on the audience that hears it. Now this G7, where did it come from? It's not in the key of G minor because it has a B in it, a major 3rd, so it's slightly different to the chord structure of what we originally started with. This G7 is the 5th of the following chord, C minor. So from C minor, the dominant chord is G7. So the G7 is related to the G minor key, but not directly. And this is one reason I really love secondary dominants. They really help us expand the harmonic possibilities in a song. They help us break away from diatonicism by implying a new tonic via a secondary key. And it really brings so much more color to a track. So in this G7, we've obviously got a B that we didn't initially have in this key. And now that we do have a B, we've got chromatic movement to the C minor. Now the secondary dominant we have just looked at, the G7, is the 5 of 4. So the 4 being C minor in the key of G, it is the 5 of our 4 chord. So the next chord that's coming up, A7, is the 5 of 5. Let's listen to how it sounds. Now we've got some more burning hot fire from Nishiki Yasunori in this 4th section where we've changed key. We're in D minor now. And we start with 2 bars of D, and then we go down in semitones to D flat minor, to C minor, and then B minor. Now this example of chromatic harmony is much clearer than anything we have seen in Master of Power so far. We've seen chords with tones that move chromatically upwards and downwards, and we've seen secondary dominant, which also use a type of chromatic harmony due to the tritone resolution that lies within the chord. This example is using tones that are completely non-diatonic, making them way more dramatic. Because there are so many different types of chromatic harmony, it can be very difficult to define it. But basically, it's easier to think of it as 2 chords that are connected by half steps. And this happens in many different situations. Chromatic harmony is definitely a great way to surprise or confuse the listener's subconscious predictions of where the harmony is going. So when we get to this section, the pace has been brought down a whole lot while maintaining dissonance between the half-step chords. It's got a completely different vibe to the rest of the song. Everything feels a little bit more hopeless, kind of like you're being led down a stairwell into some kind of abyss. And the chords are being brought out of the key that we started in. And we've got this D flat minor, which has nothing to do with the key that we were in. Neither does the C minor. Then we get brought back to the B minor, which kind of brings us a little bit of hope that things aren't quite over. Okay, so let's move away from the compositional side and look a little bit more at the production. Now, orchestrating a song like this comes with its challenges, but I tried to listen carefully for the right type of instruments, raise the velocity, especially on the strings, as the majority of the song is played in forte, layer when necessary and excessively, and wherever instruments were too echoey, I cut down the reverb tail as much as I could and killed everything but the close mics. Now this is as far as I've come in the mix. Now, I've compared the song to my reference track, and there's still a lot of little things that are bugging me. But the more I listen to them, the more something else is more likely to pop up and ask for its attention. But all in all, the song has a pretty decent balance, so I'm going to move on to trying attaining the same level of quality that there is in the reference track. Now, to improve the quality of my track, I'm going to be using parallel compression. This is taking 2 of the same track, using the harmonic distortion of a compressor to add to one of them and add it to the original track. As you can see here, below the red track, I have a master bus track. Now, this is the track I'm going to be using for my parallel compression. So I'm going to take one of the 5 sends that I have in this track and create a new track. And this track is going to be called PC for parallel compression. Now, in this new parallel compression track, I'm going to put, you guessed it, a compressor at the top to prepare for this effect. Call it PC for parallel compression. And we're going to put a compressor, an FET compressor, in this track. If you're using Pro Tools, there's actually a BF76 plugin, which you can use as a substitute to the CLA76. It doesn't work quite as well, but you can set the ratio to 20 and check the results for yourself. Now, there are many different types of compressors. We have VCA, FET, Opto, and we have tube compressors. But in this video, I'm going to be using the CLA76. If you have one, I totally recommend using it. This one was based on the Uray 1176 or Uray 1176, and people pronounce it differently. But it is a world-renowned compressor due to the caliber of harmonic distortion it adds to a signal. Now we've got this open. All you need to do is find the ratio setting, click all, and you are done. In terms of setting parameters, that is all you need to do. So this compressor has a very fast attack, so we'll definitely be able to hear the difference it makes. Now in the song Master of Power, the strings are consistently forte. The percussion and the drums are also very powerful. So I've been gain staging this song quite low to avoid any clipping. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the track, bring the fader, the auxiliary fader down, and gradually bring it back up. Okay, so I'm feeling like around minus 20 dB to minus 10 dB is the sweet spot. I could have had it a little bit lower, but I'm happy with it as it is. As you can hear, the track has opened up a whole lot more because we're adding harmonic distortion. We've got it's like a whole new layer of frequencies that's been added to the track. And it's brought it up without me having to do this. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of EQ because using the harmonic distortion of a compressor adds a layer of harmonic distortion all over the frequency spectrum, making some areas muddy or making a surplus of a frequency that we may not need. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for your time. It really means a lot. I'd like to leave a link in the description so you can get your hands on the chord charts for Master of Power. Also, if you'd like to get your hands on the Pro Tools and Logic charts, you can do that over on my Patreon, and that helps support the channel tremendously. This is the first time I'm doing a video like this, so it'll be really, really great if we could get a community of music lovers just to come together and help each other. If you've got any questions in terms of the theoretical sides of points of the video or compositional techniques, then please jump in the comments, and I really hope we can all support each other. But again, huge thanks. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Man, I was just about to upload this video and this trailer for Octopath Traveler 2 releases. This is crazy. Oh man. And this releases a day before Tokyo Game Show. Man, it's Christmas already.